They did it again. They did it again. Outward became the cult classic RPG of the decade when it first came out in 2019. Most players didn't know what they were getting into, but when they entered the world of Arai for the first time, let's just say it turned into failed marriages and failed unemployment claims. But do you think that bothered even one of them? No. No, it didn't, for they were immersed in a long, epic, nostalgic journey that would make them remember that they don't need a quest line to get to their objective. They don't need a mini-map that acts like a smartphone to get to the next city. They don't need constant hints and pop-up tips teaching them how to play a game. For all that stuff would take away the challenge, take away the feeling of accomplishment, basically take away your brain, for you would just be a machine going through the motions playing a game on another machine. Instead, players embrace the uncertainty of adventuring into the wilds, contracting various diseases, being stricken down by new merciless foes, attempting to survive the unpredictable elements, and although failure was a common occurrence, they would eventually prevail and become champions, but worthy champions. They earned their knowledge, they earned their skills, they earned their loot, and now it's time to be tested once again. Welcome to the Soroboreans. The Soroboreans is the DLC for Outward that came out this week on PC and will be out on July 7th for consoles. I did have the opportunity to get my hands on it a little bit early and put a good amount of time into it, enough to feel like I was ready to write an initial review. I will do so without giving away any story spoilers, but of course the video is footage from the new area, so close your eyes if you don't want to see anything. This DLC brings us players to an entirely new area called the Antique Plateau. It's a beautiful plains-filled landscape with cliffs, canyons, dungeons and fortresses, and of course the capital city called Harmattan. Adventuring around the Antique Plateau certainly makes you feel as if you're in a new area. It does not look like the original 4 areas of the game. This landscape is littered with abandoned ruins, corruption, mysterious lakes, and foes of the likes that you've never seen before. My first time out exploring, I already felt like the DLC was worth it. Once again, you can tell that a lot of heart and soul went into this game. 9 Dot Studios is a smaller sized company, but it works in their favor. You can feel the passion that they bring to the table, and that can be rare these days, especially with many larger, more corporate companies. Many of those companies can put out great looking games, even with great mechanics, but they oftentimes lack that homemade, passionate feeling that Outward gives off, and it definitely doesn't disappoint with the DLC. In the city of Harmattan, you can find 2 new class trainers, the speedster and the hex mage. Both classes offer unique and interesting ways to develop your character. Harmattan is also where you'll start your new storyline with the Soroborean Academy. I can honestly say that so far it's been an interesting storyline to follow. It's important to note that if you've already pledged yourself to one of the original factions, you will have to start a new character to embark on this faction's questline, but it's worth it, trust me. You'll find yourself questioning your decisions, questioning your morality. Are you truly a good person? Who should you trust? All of these feelings have been running through my mind as I progress and meet new characters. The plot so far has been intriguing, and I find myself reading every dialogue line that the DLC offers. You can also notice an improvement in the voice acting, and it seems like there are more lines actually spoken in the dialogue, which helps with the immersion. There seems to be multiple outcomes for many of the quests, which makes you feel the weight of your decisions. The places you get sent to are full of surprises, terror, and excitement, and that brings me to dungeons. There was a big turning point for me in the game, and it was fairly early on. After heading out to the northwest of the Antique Plateau to retrieve a secret box that was stolen by bandits, I entered into my first dungeon. After a confrontation with those bandits that ended with my life being taken away from me, I returned back with 10 tripwire traps, and yeah, I got the job done. After retrieving the stolen box, I noticed a large door with runes on it, but I was not able to open the gate, so I headed back to the city wondering if I would ever return. At this point in the game, I was having fun and I was excited, but the real stuff would begin when I would return to that place. When I had a feeling that that large runic door might possibly be open now, I headed back and entered into an unexpectedly large, deep, dark, magical dungeon filled with monsters, loot, and a magical, almost steampunk-looking train. This is when I truly understood the value of this DLC. It was a great creative dungeon showing that 9dots really cares about this DLC, and it even feels like they might have stepped up their game when their game was already pretty damn high. A truly amazing dungeon that I think all Outward players should experience. It was one of the best dungeon experiences I've had in a long time. The city of Harmattan is filled with merchants and the typical things that you see in an Outward style city. You start to see how in-depth some of the new content can get when you head to the Arcanist in the Soroborean Academy and see that he's selling enchanting supplies, a completely new craft brought to us with the DLC. I had no idea how to begin the enchantment process, and that right there is another reason why I love this game. 9dot Studios doesn't look at its players and potential consumers as just dumb money buckets. Instead, they value a person's intelligence and willingness to want to figure things out. They understand the sense of achievement that learning to do things on your own can bring to a player, and I completely respect that. Creating a game that doesn't hold your hands is risky in a way that you're not going to be selling your game necessarily to the masses, but instead to a smaller, more mature, in some ways sophisticated crowd. And that might come with a sacrifice in potential profit, but it seems like the company values creating loyal and passionate fans over caring about money, money, money. In fact, when I talked with Guillaume, the CEO and creative director of 9dots, he was very passionate about explaining to me that his goal was never to sell out, but instead to focus on the niche of gamers who might not be feeling as satisfied from the gaming industry over the past 10 years or so. So the new city is pretty sweet, and if you look closely, you just might find some new weapons to purchase as well, which brings us to the fist weapons. I absolutely love this weapon type. It's a lot of fun, especially when you delve into the new speedster class tree. I highly recommend the speedster for players who enjoy engaging in close combat, for many of the skills require exactly that. But don't dismiss this class if you enjoy ranged combat, for there are many opportunities to combine both styles of play with this build. It can also work well with some of the magic classes, for the skills cooldown reduction opportunities are oh so powerful. The Hex Mage offers an interesting take on magic, and it's the only class that heavily deals with the new corruption mechanics that are present in the Antique Plateau. You'll be casting hexes on your opponents and exploiting those weaknesses, or you might like the idea of being a blood mage and using the new Sigil of Blood to create bloody effects. When you enter places filled with corruption, you basically have another environmental situation that you have to monitor and regulate the best that you can. Corruption is not in every area though, which is nice, for you can still explore and enjoy the wild canyons without that corruption level rising and putting pressure on you. Both classes seem to go well with many builds, so get ready to make some decisions. If you're an Outward fan, you will not be disappointed in the DLC. If you've never heard of this game and you're actually interested now, what are you waiting for? Outward is definitely one of the best games that I've played in the past decade. It's truly unique and really gives you an experience that you might not have felt in a while. Now the full game has a total of 5 different areas, all filled with mystery, unfound magical weapons, fun but intense boss-like encounters, and the potential to fill your bag with gold bars. What's not to like? Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I do all sorts of videos on this channel, ranging from comedy videos to live streams to game reviews to game tutorials and more. And I would love to see some of you guys on a future video. More Outward content on the way. Until next time.